On today's episode, we'll be chatting about my continued progress on my dianthus shawl, as well as some spinning and a spinning acquisition. Hey everyone, I'm Marina and this is Pineapple Knits. This is my channel dedicated to knitting, spinning, and weaving. You can connect with me on social media at Pineapple Yarn, and you can connect with me on my website at pineappleyarn.com. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. And if this is your first time viewing this channel, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm coming to you today from coastal South Carolina, where it is finally getting warm, like in the 80s. We've had the longest spring. I'm not complaining. It's been very unusual though, but yes, we are definitely getting warmer. As a matter of fact, when I put this shawl on today, yeah, I thought, I don't know how long this is gonna last because it's in the 80s now. And the unusual thing about this weather, in addition to a long spring, is that we haven't had any rain for weeks, and so we've had a really dry atmosphere, dry climate. The air's been really dry, and there's been no humidity and no rain. So things look so dry around here. A lot of people have irrigation, they have sprinklers, but for a lot of people, there isn't a lot of irrigation anywhere because we don't really need it, and so things are really starting to look dry. Hopefully we'll get some rain here soon, but yeah, it's just been kind of unusual weather this year. So before we get started, I'd like to tell you what I'm wearing. This is the Odyssey shawl by Joji Locatelli. I love this shawl. This is one of my most wearable shawls. The colors are beautiful, and if you're interested in knitting this, it's free on Ravelry, and so it's just so generous of Joji to offer that to knitters. It's a beautiful shawl, so let me show it off to you. So I used 3 colors in this shawl. I used Sights on Summer, which is the top color, Pacific Dreams, which is the middle color, and then Sunspot, which is the bottom color. These just look so pretty. And I don't remember if I did any particular fading method or anything to fade the colors together. I might have just started one right after another. If you can find the old podcast that I talked about this in, I'm sure I said it there, but it has these really neat sections of eyelets. They're so pretty. They look like large eyelets with kind of a wavy design. And then the bottom has this cute picot edging, which is just really cute on the bottom. So yeah, this is just such a beautiful shawl. I love it so much, and it's so cheerful, and it's just all the colors I really love. So much fun. And then on my mannequin is my finished Good Vibes shawl by Nadia, Crétin, Léchenne, and I featured that last week on the episode. So if you're interested in learning more about this shawl, check out my last episode where I go into detail about that. This is a pattern by Ambah O'Brien. And if you're not familiar with her patterns, she does a lot of patterns that use multicolors, mini skeins, advent calendars, gradient mini sets, things like that. So she has lots of really cool shawl patterns. So the reason I found her is because I had a certain amount that I needed to use, or that I had left from my advent calendar from last year. And it has this really cool asymmetrical shape. You can see how it's progressing. And I didn't get a ton accomplished on it this week because I was working on other things that I'll show you in a minute. But this is just such a beautiful shawl. I believe I am on, let me check. I'm on day 12 of my advent calendar from last year. Last year's theme was vitamin C, SEA, and so it was just really super bright, vibrant shades, and they're all dyed in a gradient, as you can see, and this year will also be dyed in a gradient like this. So lots of speckles and shifting colors, so you don't have to rearrange them as you open them. So I need to do some math calculations on this because I need to knit a certain number of rows before I begin the decreases on the shawl. And I want to make sure that I have enough yarn, but I also want to make sure that I maximize the amount of yarn I'm using on this. And so I'm a little more than halfway done with this section. However, I'm also on day 12. I just started it and there are 24 days. And so I feel like I'm running a little short right now, even though I calculated how many yards I would need and I felt like I had enough. And so I need to maybe come up with a game plan in case I get a little bit short. Some of my options I've thought about were just cutting this large section short and then beginning the decreases. It's a fairly good sized shawl, so I think I'll be fine if I do that. The risk that I run into there is that I will not use all of my advent calendar, though I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have that problem. My other option is just to either go through my stash, find something that coordinates with the end of the advent calendar, and use that and just kind of add on to the yardage. It ends in a really fine point, and so obviously once I start the decreases, I'll use less and less yarn, but I do need to take the time and contemplate what I'm going to do with that. I'm knitting this on a US size 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter. That is a size down from what the pattern recommends. So this has really been a great project so far. I've really enjoyed that. I love all the kind of pooling and whatnot that's occurring on my shawl. It's going to be very interesting how it turns out at the end. This is just, it's mostly plain garter stitch. And so aside from the decreases are in a four row repeat. And so it makes it really, really simple. So you have to be somewhat aware of where you are, but luckily it's not a wide shawl. There aren't long rows, and that's definitely one thing I love about it. And so that's also been very helpful as far as just, I can do a quick stitch count and it's no big deal. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you all of these little cakes I'm using. So here's my next day. This is day 13. You can see my masking tape numbers I'm using with that. I have about 8 to 10 grams per little cake, and my yarn base that I use with my advent calendars is my Lani sock base, and it has about 462 yards per 100 grams. And all of my little mini cakes together, I had about approximately 230 grams left. So I felt like that was over two skeins of yarn. I need to go back and actually look at the yardage for this shawl. So I should be okay. I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, so far so good. It's been a really fun pattern, and it'll be so beautiful when it's done. And then I'll be done with my 2020 Advent calendar from last year. I'll have no more yarn left, which is sad because I loved that calendar. I thought it was so pretty, but I'm also excited because I can just use this year's calendar coming up, and that's really exciting too. So my big news for this week is that I got my electric eel e-spinner. and I've been using it every day. It's been so much fun. This is the electric Eel 6.0, and it's an e-spinner. And so right here you can see I actually have a battery stashed under here, and this is just the cord that came with the battery, and it's connecting the battery to the e-spinner. And it's really great because actually this battery, and this was the battery that was recommended by the company, I can actually plug it in and it charges and I can spin at the same time. So that's really handy. But I spun up all the little bats that I used to store right behind me, and they are just some bats that I tried out on my little brother Carter that I purchased a few months ago. And this was so fun to spin on this. So my overall impression of this e-spinner is that it's super convenient. It was super fun to spin on. I spent 10 minutes maybe looking through the instruction manual, putting it together, and starting to spin. It literally only took about 10 minutes, which is so crazy, and it was just really great. Another thing I appreciate about this e-spinner, I spun this continuing backdraft and a little bit of long draw. I just was kind of alternating because it was in bat form. And I was on the medium speed. I was at about a 3. I would say a 3 at the very end. So I was in between a 2 and a 3, and then on the 3, and it goes up to a 6. And so that was really nice. Yeah, I thought it was really easy spinning. Let me show you one piece. I wanted to show you how you start and stop this. There's a little, I guess it's a little switch, it's a little pedal that you can use. It just clicks on, clicks off, so you don't have to hold it down or anything. And what I did is I actually put it up next to my hand and used it with my hand. I did use it down on the floor when I was plying, because I did ply this on the e-spinner. And when I was spinning in the evenings, I did have a couple of kids who wanted to hold this, and I would tell them when to stop and they would click it. So it was just really enjoyable for everybody. The bobbins that are included, there's quite a number of bobbins that are included, which is super nice. But here's what they look like. They come flat packed. These actually screw together, and they're really good sized. I have nearly 100 grams of yarn on this, and you can tell, I don't think it's even half full at this point. So they're really good sized. Another thing I really appreciated about this, there's just a couple of thoughtful things that I think were really great. There were a number of extra pieces that are included with this. There's a little orifice hook that's included. I think there's 2 in there. Just some of the little pieces that go with this. There's several extra pieces that are included, which I thought was very thoughtful, and I appreciated that. The other thing is that I was spinning and I had my orifice hook that was included with this, and it's a little metal hook. And I thought, you know, the only thing about this is that I really wish there was somewhere to put the hook or to hang the hook or what have you. And then I realized later, just by accident actually, that there are 2 magnets right here that are on the left side of the e-spinner. And so it actually holds the orifice hook right here. So as you're spinning, you can just set your hook right here and it just kind of sticks. It's a magnet. And I thought that was really handy as well. But it's very lightweight. You can tell that it's a really good size. So yeah, this has been so fun. I will say the one downside is that I did not enjoy plying on this. So I've really gotten into the habit of counting when I ply, counting my treadles. It's very methodical. It's just very rhythmic with the treadling, and I really miss that, not having treadles with plying on this. And so I could see myself in the future spinning on this and then maybe plying on my wheel, just because I really enjoy that rhythmic plying. I can make sure it's even. I haven't wound this or soaked it or anything, so we'll see how consistent this is. But I definitely think there is a place for this little wheel, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I should mention, I normally spin counting treadles and counting my hands, and it's all very rhythmic that way. However, I was able to do a Ply Back Test as I was spinning singles on this, just to make sure that it was consistent and it was the twist I wanted and everything. With plying, I kind of like to fly through it, so I enjoy doing that on my spinning wheel. But to each his own. As far as handling the plying, this little wheel did so great, and I had no problems with the power or anything. I didn't plug this in and use it at all. I only used the battery, and I did not recharge it for the entire spin. So as long as I was spinning singles and then also with plying, I didn't charge it once. So the battery, I felt like it lasted a really long time. So I thought it might be fun to do a little spinning today, and I'll show you how this wheel works. I'm about ready to start spinning, but one thing I wanted to mention is that I'm wearing the other pair of earrings that my daughter made me for Mother's Day, and I just think that they're so cute and fun. I don't wear earrings like this normally because for years I have had kids just yank on my earrings, and so I don't actually wear much jewelry at all because it's just an accident waiting to happen. But yeah, she's really having so much fun with her jewelry making, so of course I'm going to wear with pride her earrings. Let's get started with spinning. I have everything set out here, and I'm just going to go ahead and put everything together and kind of show you how everything assembles. It's super fast. I already have my battery in the base, and that's what this cord is right here. This connects the battery to the wheel itself. This is how you charge it. You can just leave it connected and charge it at the same time if you like. Here is where the pedal or the switch goes in. And so I'm going to put this on the floor. You can also set it here and just use your hand with it. Here's your flyer. We're going to put this bobbin onto it, and this bobbin's two-sided. So on one side you have a groove, and one side it's flat. The flat side you're going to put down onto the flyer. This will all make sense in a minute. And so you should have the flat side towards your orifice. The groove side is at the end. And then there's this little magnet washer, I guess. I don't really know the right term for it. That just slides onto the end here. Very easy to get on here. Back here you have a cotton cord. This is your brake band. It slides on to this groove on your bobbin. And so what I do is I get it real loose so it just goes right on, and then this knob tightens it. So we'll just kind of tighten it on a little bit. It has a little bit of slack, which is good. And then we're going to put the drive band on, which is this thin band here. I'm going to turn this so you can see it. Here is your pulley. It's going to go over a groove on the top of your flyer right here. So I'm going to turn this towards me so I can get it a little better. I'm going to lift the whole flyer up a little bit. Because I have to get it over the flyer. All right, so it's stretchy, so it's easy to put on. So I don't know if you can see this, but this just goes right on this pulley. It goes around the flyer. You've got your brake band on. And I attached my own lead on here. It's a real long piece of acrylic yarn. This is the yarn that I use on my circular sock machine. All right, I had to change the battery in my camera because, as luck would have it, my battery died and I didn't realize because I wasn't watching. So let's get started spinning. One thing I wanted to share with you is here is the orifice hook. I don't think that I showed you that before the camera died, and it snaps right here. There's a couple little magnets. It snaps right here on this wheel. So handy. And there is also a direction switch on here, and so you can change the direction. That's also very handy for plying, obviously. And so I had just picked up a little piece and started spinning. I am spinning at between a 2 and a 3. So let's get started. I kind of feel like this is a good speed. I like this speed. And I am doing a continuous backdraft right now, and I'm smoothing a little bit, but it's not a firm smooth. It's mostly just me holding onto the yarn a little bit. So this feels like a pretty good speed to me. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it. I'm going to do a ply back test, which is just folding it onto itself and kind of seeing what kind of twist I have, what kind of yarn I'm making. And I could probably spin it a little faster at this point, maybe increase my speed a little bit. But I do like to under twist my singles a little bit and then over twist when I ply, or over ply a little bit. That's just my preference. And so I'm going to push you up here a little more so you can see better. I don't know if you noticed, but I just moved my hook back a little bit as well to fill up my bobbin a little more. I don't know if you can hear the wheel right now, but I had started spinning when a few of us in the family were watching television one night, and no one could even hear the wheel. It was really funny. I had been spinning for about 10 minutes before anyone even looked over at me and said, "Oh, what's that thing?" So it is pretty quiet. It's quieter than my Kromsky Minstrel spinning wheel, and it's not a noisy wheel. So I'm barely holding on to this too, and this is just the perfect take up, and it's really very comfortable spinning right now. One thing I really like about this wheel is that it does have the sliding hooks, and my Kromsky Minstrel does not. And that's one thing about that wheel that I do wish it had. I wish it had the sliding hooks, but for some reason, other Kromsky wheels do have the sliding hooks, but on the Minstrel it just has the fixed hooks on the flyer. It's not a huge deal, but I kind of like the sliding hooks. So it's been kind of fun trying that out and seeing how that compares with my fixed hooks on my Minstrel. This fiber is a mixture of Cheviot and Stellina. It looks maybe like a gold Stellina or gold Angelina probably. I don't think I have any Stellina in my fiber blending stash. I think this actually might be a mixture of Cheviot, probably some merino. It has a little bit of purple. I want to say that the little streaks of purple through here might be a dyed bamboo. So I do have some of that. Most likely this Rollag was blended on my blending board by my 7-year-old. She is so enthusiastic about all the crafts, everything that I do. She really enjoys that, and we'll see as time goes on if she enjoys doing the same things I do. But when she's not up and about playing and doing those things, she actually does have a little project bag with a little knitting project in it. She has a pair of straight wooden needles that she uses, and she is using a DK weight yarn in the colorway Princess Twilight Sparkle. Some of you may recognize that colorway as one I have dyed here and there over the past several years. But she has been knitting on a little project for quite a while. And she does a few rows here and there, and then she's off to the next thing. I think she thinks she's making a scarf. Right now she has a square, and she had a square before and decided to frog the whole thing and start over. So she had many dropped stitches, and I think she just wanted to start again, which is fine. I guess we all want that sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And as you can see, here's what we have so far. It is so enjoyable spinning on this. I really could sit here for quite a while and spin. It's very smooth, it's very, very enjoyable, and I can't say enough great things about it. This has just been a really, really fun little wheel so far. So thanks for spinning with me, and if you are in the market for a wheel, an e-spinner, I would definitely check this out. I put a link below where I purchased mine. And one thing I did say last week, I talked a little bit about it last week before I received it in the mail, but it is a lot more affordable than any wheel out there right now. And so not only is it a great space saver, it's just a good wheel to try out in case you are not sure if you even want an e-spinner or if spinning's for you. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love if you would give it a thumbs up. I will join you in just a few minutes with a shop update preview, and another episode will be coming out next week as well. Until then, I hope you enjoy your crafting and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.